This week, I'm going to the biggest cave in the world, which is in Vietnam. I flew from Taiwan to Hanoi, and I was going to explore Hanoi, but the weather said no. The next morning, I flew from Hanoi to Doong Cave. When I arrived at the airport, they had my name on one of those signs. That was so cool. I felt so special. Anyway, the company Oxalis picked me up, and then we drove to Phong Nha. So I checked into my hotel, and that evening we had a briefing. They gave us a rundown of what to expect, and we had an introduction to the other people on the tour, as well as our guide and the safety guy, which was then followed by a delicious group dinner. I packed the stuff that I needed with the provided bags, and then we all jumped on the bus. When we arrived at the drop-off point, I did notice there was heaps of butterflies. It was time to start walking to the first cave. I did the most walking on this day, but we had plenty of breaks and it was pretty flat. We bypassed the village, saw the ranger, and then stopped for lunch. This expedition goes for 5 nights or 6 days. However, you only spend 3 nights sleeping in the cave because the first and 5th night you spend sleeping at the provided hotels. This tour was all-inclusive, which includes your airport transfer, the 5 nights of accommodation, as well as all meals. It was a little bit expensive, but definitely worth every penny. So it's $3,000 to do the whole expedition, which ended up being about 4,400 Australian dollars. Also, they provided me a bag to use that was waterproof, as well as hiking shoes, because I didn't have my own. After a few hours of walking, we ended up at Han En Cave. We put on our helmets and then headed to the first night's campsite. There's a large crew that comes along every trip, so you have the porters that carry all the stuff, as well as the cooks. And the porters will even help you out throughout the whole tour. They also set up all the tents and everything. Everybody got their own tents, unless you're a couple, because then you shared. My feet have definitely seen better days. Walking through rivers in shoes that weren't mine, yeah, I had blisters. It was time for swimming. My favourite time of the day. It got dark in the cave pretty quick, but it was a full moon. My first night in the cave, and I slept pretty good. Especially because we got given these portable fans, which definitely helped with the heat. I ate some breakfast, got ready, and then it was time for our briefing. On the expedition, the team require you to wear drainable shoes. This is good because your shoes dry quicker, but Also, my feet were always wet. There's a scene in Peter Pan that was filmed in this section of the cave. This cave is pretty massive, so I was getting pumped to go see the biggest cave in the world, which is Son Doong. This cave had a lot of birds, which then resulted in a lot of bird poop. We crossed another river, and I do have to say the water is so clear. It was very easy to see all the little fish. One of the magical moments of this expedition was walking through this field of butterflies. I don't know how many there was, but it's definitely the most I've ever seen. Our guide said that we were pretty lucky because he said that he's never seen this many butterflies either. The tour guide was saying how that the spiders in Vietnam are not harmful or not venomous. So then he proceeds to try to pick it up, which is insane. It was so hot today and I was sweating so much that my fingers were pruning, which has never ever happened to me before. We walked down and along the river. Before entering Son Doong Cave, which is the biggest cave in the world, we stopped and listened to Martin. He is our safety guy as well as one of the founders of Son Doong Cave.
Very magnificent cave, basically called Hang En. Okay, so the river came in here, and then we basically have this river coming down here, and we've got to also remember that we walked past Hang Ri. Hang Ri is kind of the longest cave in Vietnam, and we explored that in 97 and 99. Ri's got a very interesting shape because it zigzags through the mountain. It's unusual. But the fault line that we walked through underneath in Hang En, that fault line carries on the surface of the earth and goes into Son Doong, and without that fault line there wouldn't be the big cave. Yeah, that fault line is so significant.
He basically was saying that the river had ended and they knew there had to be a bigger cave because of the water flow. With the help of the locals, they managed to help find the cave and then exploring. The hardest part of this tour was this 15-20 minute incline walk up this mountain. It was brutal. Once we reached the top, it was lunchtime, and thank God because I was so tired.
And it'll be fine. But if you do slip at all, you will be held by the lifeline, okay? And if you're really struggling, we can lower you down on the lifeline, so there's no problems whatsoever. Part of the challenge obviously is to do it yourself, so is to climb down if possible. But if you're not able to, don't worry about it, we will get you down, okay?
I got strapped into my safety gear and it was time to go. On the way we saw a chameleon with baby eggs. We got to the entrance. Yay! I made it to the biggest cave in the world. This cave is around 9 kilometers long. Due to the depth of the cave and the humidity, there's a lot of mist that comes from the cave. The funnest parts of the cave was any time that I was strapped into a harness. It was so cool to see all the different types of rock formations in the cave. Some were even sparkling from all the crystallizations. It was pretty cool to see the bats flying around throughout the cave. Every year the cave floods with the rainy season and it brings in seedlings. So we did see some plants growing, but unfortunately they were dying because there was no sunlight. Those white patches in the sand are spider webs, which was a little bit unnerving to know because there were so many of them. This is called sound towers. Now, our guide did explain how they're formed, but sorry, I forgot. This is called the Hand of the Dog. It was supposed to be called Hand of the God, but there was a mix-up in translation when they were writing it down. I arrived at the next campsite and we had a quick break before we went and explored more of this cave. We went to a section of the cave which had fossiled coral. Now, he was saying that the coral here, or the fossils, are more than 450 million years old, which is crazy. Swimming through this passage was so much fun, but also very, very cold. We got back, had some dinner, and everyone went to sleep pretty early. After breakfast, we left the campsite to go further down into the cave. Throughout this tour, they give you great opportunities to do cool photos. It's very humid in the cave, so I was sweating basically 90% of the time. The Garden Eden was so cool. It's a jungle within a cave. It started raining. It's supposed to be our dry day, but another wet one. Throughout this tour, we had plenty of time to have our breaks and to eat our meals. I never felt rushed. I don't know why I was attracting moths while everyone else is attracting butterflies. So unfair. We arrived at our final campsite and had some dinner. Now I do have to say, every meal I ate a lot. The food was so delicious. They're very good in catering for dietary requirements. So if you're vegetarian or anything, they would make a special plate for you. I got strapped in with all my safety gear and the harness by the crew. I had such an amazing time doing this caving tour, and I was surrounded by great people, which made the experience 10 out of 10. When they discovered the cave, they also discovered a new species of fish.
The video about the fish is because they live in the darkness for 500,000 years. And somehow they adapt to the life, the caving life. They don't need eyes, so the eyes gone. And because there's no sunlight, their body turns into white completely. And if you zoom enough, you can kind of see the organ. Yeah. The heart, everything. Yeah.
What do they eat?
They eat anything they can find in the water. Some microorganism or maybe some.
We walked down this muddy passage for quite a while, and then it was time to tackle the Great Wall of Vietnam. Climbing the ladder was the easy part, and then we had to climb up this steep wall, which was super fun. It was easier than I thought, but it was intimidating to approach. After that, I was saying goodbye to Son Doong Cave. It was around midday when we were walking out of the jungle, and then we finished at around 2 p.m. I had a Coke while others had a celebratory beer. When we got back, I think everyone was very excited to have a shower. That evening we had our last group dinner, and we also got these medals to say that we completed the sand dune expedition. After the dinner I was gonna hang around with everyone, but I hadn't pooped for the whole time of the tour, so then I spent 2.5 hours on the toilet. Anyways, thank you for watching. Next week I go to Hoi An. Bye!